A well-dressed black family walks into a gleaming Tesla dealership, dreams of electric luxury in their eyes. The salesman takes one look at them and says, "Maybe something in your price range would be better." His smirk says everything his words don't. The other customers pretend not to notice, but the damage is done. 2 hours later, 3 black SUVs pull up outside the dealership. When the door opens and Tesla's CEO steps out, nobody, especially that smirking salesman, could have predicted what happened next. Have you ever been judged before someone even knew your name? That sick feeling in your stomach when someone decides who you are based on how you look? That's exactly what happened to Malik and Ayana Pemberton that spring morning. They weren't just any couple browsing for cars. They were hard-working parents who'd saved for years, researched extensively, and were ready to embrace a sustainable future with Tesla's innovative technology. Their kids, 14-year-old Zuri and 7-year-old Kofi, were bouncing with excitement as they approached the showroom. For them, this wasn't just about a car. It was watching their parents claim their rightful place in a future they helped build. But instead of respect, they got something else entirely. Something that would have broken most people. Something that would have sent most families quietly back to their cars, dreams shattered. The Pembertons weren't most families. What unfolded after that moment of humiliation didn't just change one dealership's policies, it sparked a nationwide conversation about dignity, respect, and who gets to be part of America's electric future. Type respect right now if you believe everyone deserves basic dignity, no matter what they look like or what car they drive. And hit that subscribe button if you're ready for more stories that'll make you rethink everything you thought you knew about standing up for what's right. That morning had started like a celebration. Malik adjusted his tie in the hallway mirror, while Ayana called upstairs, "Kids, time to go. Today's the day." Zuri bounded down the stairs, phone in hand. "I already picked out which color I want, that deep blue with the white interior." She'd been researching Tesla specs for weeks, practically memorizing the owner's manual online. Little Kofi trailed behind, clutching a toy car. "Will it drive itself, Dad? Like in the videos?" Malik ruffled his son's hair. "That's what we're gonna find out, buddy." The family piled into their reliable but aging sedan, the one that had carried them through Malik's startup years, through Ayana's community organizing campaigns, through soccer practices and school plays. Today marked the beginning of their next chapter. "Remember when we couldn't afford oil changes?" Ayana whispered to Malik as they pulled onto the highway. He squeezed her hand, a lifetime of shared struggle and triumph passing between them. The Tesla dealership rose before them like a gleaming spaceship, all glass and clean lines. Zuri pressed her face against the window as they parked. "Look, they have the new Plaid edition." Inside, the air felt different, cooler somehow. A faint scent of leather and ambition hung in the air. Soft music played as salespeople in sleek attire glided across polished floors. Malik approached the reception desk, shoulders back, confidence in every step. "Good morning. We're interested in test driving the Model S." The receptionist's smile never reached her eyes. "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but your website says walk-ins are welcome." Malik's voice remained steady. "Let me see who's available." She made a call, speaking too quietly to hear. A salesman approached, mid-30s, perfect teeth, skeptical eyes. "How can I help you guys folks today?" "We're interested in the Model S." Ayana stepped forward, extending her hand. "I'm Ayana Pemberton, this is my husband Malik, and our children, Zuri and Kofi." The handshake was brief, his palm barely touching hers. "Wonderful," he said, looking past them to a white couple entering the showroom. "The Model S starts at $89,990. Financing options require excellent credit scores and substantial down payments." Malik nodded. "We're aware of the pricing structure. We'd like to experience the driving dynamics firsthand." The salesman's smile tightened. "Of course. For premium vehicles, we require pre-approval or proof of funds before test drives." Meanwhile, across the showroom, another salesperson was already handing keys to the white couple who'd just walked in. "Is that policy for everyone?" Ayana asked quietly, nodding toward the other customers. "Well," the salesman shifted his weight, "it depends on certain factors." "What factors exactly?" Malik's voice remained calm, but Zuri pressed closer to her mother, sensing the shift in atmosphere. "Look," the salesman lowered his voice, "these cars attract a certain clientele. We need to ensure serious buyers only. Maybe start with something more attainable." The word hung in the air like poison. Kofi tugged at his father's sleeve. "Daddy, why can't we try the car?" Before Malik could answer, a sales manager approached. "Is there a problem here?" "No problem," the salesman replied. "I was just explaining our test drive requirements to these folks." The manager looked the family up and down. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable with something in your price range. The used car dealership down the street has some nice options." Zuri's eyes widened. Ayana's hand found her daughter's shoulder, squeezing gently. The beautiful space suddenly felt cold, hostile. The dream they'd walked in with lay shattered on the polished floor, replaced by the familiar sting of judgment. Malik looked at his family, at Ayana's dignified anger, at Zuri's dawning understanding, at Kofi's confusion, and made a decision that would change everything. The car ride home felt like a funeral procession. Malik's knuckles turned white against the steering wheel. Ayana stared straight ahead, jaw tight, eyes glistening with unshed tears. In the back seat, Zuri plugged in her earbuds, shutting out the world, while Kofi clutched his toy car, sensing something was wrong, but unable to name it. 3 blocks from the dealership, Kofi's small voice broke the silence. "Did we do something bad?" The question hit like a physical blow. Ayana turned, her voice gentle, despite the storm inside her. "No, baby. We didn't do anything wrong." "Then why wouldn't they let us try the car the other people got to?" Malik caught Ayana's eyes in the rearview mirror. "How do you explain to a 7-year-old that some people see your skin before they see your humanity?" Zuri yanked out an earbud. "Because they're racist, Kofi." Her voice cracked. "They took one look at us and decided we couldn't afford it." "Zuri," Ayana started. "No, Mom, I'm not a baby. I know what happened in there." Her phone screen lit up her face. "It happens all the time. Mia's mom got followed around in Nordstrom last month. Jason's dad couldn't hail a cab for an hour in the rain." At home, they gathered around the kitchen table, their family meeting spot for everything from homework troubles to birthday plans. Now it became a war room for wounded dignity. "Remember your grandmother's stories?" Ayana asked the children. "About separate water fountains? Separate entrances?" Zuri nodded. "But this is different. They don't put up whites-only signs anymore. They just make up policies that only apply to people who look like us." "Which makes it harder to fight," Malik said, his voice finding strength. "But not impossible." Kofi looked up from his drawing. "Are we going to a different car store?" Malik exchanged glances with Ayana, something unspoken passing between them. Years of swallowing slights, of teaching their children to be twice as good, of explaining why some doors seemed harder to open. "No," Malik said finally. "We're going to make them change the store they have." Ayana reached for her laptop. "If this happened to us, it's happening to others. We have options." As evening fell, their kitchen transformed. Hurt crystallized into purpose. Humiliation hardened into resolve. The same determination that had built Malik's business, that fueled Ayana's advocacy, now focused like a laser on making this moment matter. Have you or someone you know ever faced discrimination while shopping? Drop A in the comments. Your story matters and you're not alone. Wait until you see what the Pembertons did next. No lawyer, no press conference, just a simple action that shook an entire corporation to its core. "We need receipts," Zuri declared the next morning, setting her laptop on the kitchen counter. "That's what my generation calls evidence." Malik looked up from his coffee. "What kind of evidence?" "Everything, dates, times, names, what they said word for word, what the other customers experienced versus us." Zuri's fingers flew across the keyboard. "We need to tell our story exactly how it happened." Ayana smiled at her daughter's fire. "She's right. No exaggerations, no embellishments, just our truth. That's powerful enough." For the next hour, they reconstructed the previous day's events. Malik recalled the salesman's name from his badge. Ayana remembered the exact policy cited. Kofi even contributed, mimicking the manager's dismissive tone with eerie accuracy. "Now what?" Malik asked when their account was complete. Zuri bit her lip. "We record it. Not angry, not crying, just us telling what happened." That afternoon, they set up a simple backdrop in the living room. No special lighting, no script. Just the Pemberton family sitting together on their couch, sharing their experience at the Tesla dealership with the same dignity they'd shown while being humiliated. "We're not asking for special treatment," Malik said directly to the camera. "Just the same treatment everyone deserves." They posted the video at 7:13 p.m. on a Tuesday. By midnight, it had 50,000 views. By Wednesday morning, 500,000. Their phones buzzed constantly with notifications. Friends called, stunned to see them trending. Local news reached out for interviews. But most striking were the comments. Thousands of people sharing similar experiences. "They told me the Audi I wanted to see was probably out of my budget before even asking what I did for a living. I'm a neurosurgeon." The jewelry store clerk asked if I was sure I was in the right place when I asked to see wedding rings. "They made my husband show 3 forms of ID to test drive a BMW, while the white couple before us just handed over a driver's license." By Thursday, national media picked up the story. "Denied a Tesla and driving while black" trended nationwide. Civil rights organizations reached out to the Pembertons. Consumer advocacy groups cited their experience in calls for industry-wide reviews of sales practices. Tesla's initial response came Friday morning, a brief statement expressing concern about the allegations and promising to look into the matter. The corporate speak felt hollow against the raw honesty of the Pembertons' video. "They're hoping it blows over," a veteran civil rights attorney told them during a video call. "Companies usually wait for the news cycle to move on." But something unexpected happened. Tesla owners, thousands of them, began posting videos expressing outrage that the company they supported would allow such treatment. Many tagged the CEO directly. "A Tesla CEO, I bought a Tesla because I believed in a progressive future. Is this your vision of progress?" A Tesla CEO. "My family loves our Model Y, but we can't support a company that treats people this way. Do better." The Pemberton family watched in amazement as their private pain transformed into a movement. Malik fielded calls between client meetings. Ayana adjusted her community advocacy schedule to accommodate interview requests. Zuri monitored social media from her school library during lunch breaks, texting updates. Even little Kofi felt the shift. "Are we famous now?" he asked, watching his family on the morning news. "Nobody," Malik answered, pulling him close. "We're just standing up." On Sunday evening, as the family prepared for the week ahead, Ayana's phone lit up with an unknown number. She almost declined the call. They'd been avoiding the flood of unknown callers. But something made her answer. "Mrs. Pemberton, this is Sandra Miller, executive assistant to the CEO of Tesla. He would like to speak with your family personally. Tomorrow morning, if possible." Ayana's hand trembled as she covered the phone. "It's Tesla. The CEO wants to meet us." Malik's eyes widened. Zuri dropped her textbook. Kofi looked up from his toys. "Tell them yes," Malik said firmly, "but not at our house and not at their office." "Where then?" Ayana asked. A slow smile spread across Malik's face. "Where else? The dealership." "Bet you're wondering what happened in that dealership when the CEO showed up. Trust me, nobody saw it coming. Hit that like button if you're ready for the confrontation that changed everything." Monday morning arrived with a buzz of nervous energy in the Pemberton household. Malik chose his most confident tie, navy with subtle red stripes. Ayana wore a professional dress that made her feel powerful. Zuri insisted on coming despite missing school, and even Kofi understood something big was happening. "Remember," Malik told his family as they parked across from the Tesla dealership, "we're not here for an apology. We're here for change." The dealership looked different today. No customers, window blinds partially drawn. A security guard nodded respectfully as they approached, opening the door without question. Inside, they found a transformed space. The sales floor had been rearranged with chairs facing a small podium. The staff stood in a line, including the salesman and manager who had dismissed them days earlier. Both men's eyes remained fixed on the floor. A tall woman in a crisp suit approached. "I'm Elena Vasquez, Tesla's Chief Operating Officer. Thank you for coming." She gestured toward a private office. "The CEO is waiting." The CEO rose as they entered, dressed not in expensive designer wear, but in a simple black shirt and jeans. He extended his hand first to Kofi, then Zuri, then Ayana and Malik. "Thank you for giving us this chance," he said, his voice quieter than they expected. "What happened to your family reflects a failure that goes beyond one dealership." He gestured to several tablets on the table. "These contain our internal investigation findings. We reviewed security footage, interviewed staff, and, most revealing, sent mystery shoppers of different races to 20 dealerships nationwide." Ayana picked up a tablet, scrolled through charts and statistics. "You found a pattern." "A damning one," the CEO acknowledged. "Black customers waited an average of 72% longer for assistance. They faced additional documentation requirements at 14 of 20 locations. Staff used words like affordable and budget 3 times more often with black customers than white customers with identical financial profiles." Malik nodded slowly. "So what happens now?" The CEO laid out a comprehensive plan: immediate termination of employees who violated anti-discrimination policies, mandatory equity training for all customer-facing staff, mystery shoppers every month to test compliance, standardized test drive requirements applied equally to all customers, and a new executive position focused exclusively on customer experience equity. "But the most important change," the CEO continued, "starts today, with you." He led them back to the sales floor, where cameras from local news stations had quietly set up. With a nod from the Pembertons, he stepped to the podium. "Tesla was founded to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy," he began, voice carrying across the silent showroom. "But any future worth building must be accessible to everyone. What the Pemberton family experienced here wasn't just a policy failure, it was a human failure." He turned toward the staff. "Today we start rebuilding trust, beginning with a public commitment that this dealership and every Tesla location will treat all customers with equal respect and dignity." Then came the moment no one expected. The CEO handed Malik not just keys for a test drive, but something more. "The Model S Plaid you wanted to test is outside. It's yours, not as compensation, because dignity can't be bought, but as the first purchase under our new equity assurance program. Every step of your transaction will be audited to ensure absolute fairness." Tears welled in Ayana's eyes as Zuri grabbed her hand. Outside, a gleaming blue Tesla, the exact color Zuri had wanted, waited with a small bow on the hood. The CEO stepped away from the microphones, speaking only to the family. "Your courage changed us. Thank you for not staying silent." As they walked toward their new car, cameras flashing around them, Kofi looked up at his father. "Did we win, Dad?" Malik lifted his son onto his shoulders. "We did more than win, buddy. We made things better for the next family." "Would you have accepted the car or demanded more systematic change? Comment below with what you would have done in the Pembertons' shoes. And share this story if you believe accountability matters in creating a more just world. 6 months after that showdown at the Tesla dealership, Malik pulled into the driveway of their home in their now familiar blue Model S. The car that once represented just a dream of sustainable luxury had become something more, a symbol of standing up for dignity. "Dad, come quick," Zuri called from inside. "We're on TV again." The family gathered around the living room screen, where a national news program was featuring a segment called The Pemberton Effect. The reporter stood outside a luxury car dealership in Chicago. After the viral confrontation between the Pemberton family and Tesla sparked nationwide attention, auto retailers across the country have overhauled how they train employees, the reporter explained. Today, BMW announced a new customer service pledge, explicitly banning different treatment based on race, gender, or appearance. Kofi beamed. "That's because of us." The ripples had indeed spread far beyond Tesla. Within weeks of their video, luxury retailers from jewelry stores to high-end fashion boutiques had launched internal reviews of their practices. State lawmakers in 3 states introduced equal shopping experience bills. Business schools added the case study to their ethics curricula. But the Pembertons hadn't stopped with that single victory. Ayana partnered with consumer rights groups to create a smartphone app where shoppers could report discriminatory treatment and connect with others who'd had similar experiences. Malik spoke at business conferences about the economic foolishness of racial profiling. Zuri, now 15, had started a school club called Know Your Worth for minority students navigating predominantly white spaces. Even little Kofi had found his voice, proudly telling his second-grade class during show and tell, "My family fixed a broken store." One evening, as autumn leaves drifted past their windows, the family gathered for dinner. Malik raised his glass in a toast. "To 1 year since that day at the dealership," he said. Ayana squeezed his hand. "Looking back, would you change anything?" Malik considered the question. "The hurt? The humiliation? Sure, I'd erase that in a heartbeat." He looked at his children, Zuri, taller and more confident, Kofi, wiser beyond his years. But the outcome? Never. "The best part wasn't getting the car," Zuri added, surprising them with her insight. "It was watching you and Mum refuse to shrink yourselves. You taught us more that day than in all our years of school." Kofi nodded solemnly. "You showed them who we really are." Outside their window, other families drove past, some in luxury vehicles, others in modest sedans, all deserving the same respect, the same chances, the same open doors. "People ask me what changed," Malik reflected. "Tesla changed its policies, other companies followed, but the real change was in how we saw ourselves, not as victims of discrimination, but as catalysts for justice." Ayana smiled. "And in how our children learned that speaking truth can move mountains. Their story wasn't just about a car, or even about discrimination. It was about a family who refused to accept less than they deserved, and in doing so widened the path for countless others who would follow. Has someone ever underestimated you based on how you look? Did you speak up or walk away? Your voice matters more than you know. Subscribe to Voice of Valor Stories for more real accounts of ordinary people creating extraordinary change. Because sometimes the most powerful act of courage is simply standing your ground.